Hi guys, before we get into the main video, just a brief disclaimer. On today's math section, I actually made a dumb recording mistake and I fucked up a question. We only got a 790, but surely when you guys are taking the actual exam like I did, you won't be giving live commentary and you'll be able to get an 800 on math easily. Anyway, forgive my mistake, bye. Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you guys how to get an 800 on the math section of the SAT. So we're going to use SAT practice number 10 for this. And as you can see, I haven't taken SAT Practice 10 yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip through the entire English section because we don't care about that. I'm going to go explain what I'm doing to get the answers in the math section, and then I'm going to show you my score to prove that it worked. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm going to scroll up real quick, scroll up, and we are going to take an active test, active, practice, and prepare. Full-length practice. SAT. SAT practice 10. No accommodations. Here we go. Ready? Is it going to load? Next. Okay. We are just going to clicky our way through the English because we don't care. We are just going to clicky our way through the English again because we also don't care. Get our casual 200 on the English. Resume testing. Time for the math. Okay, guys. For a particular machine that produces beads, 29 out of every 100 beads it produces have a defect. A bead produced by the machine is selected at random. What is the probability that it has a defect? So, desirable outcomes out of total outcomes. Desirable is 29, total is 100, therefore we know it's 29 over 100. Next question. The equation gives the speed s in miles per hour of a certain car t seconds after it began to accelerate. What is the speed in miles per hour of the car 5 seconds? So, we're asked for the speed, we're given 5 seconds, 40 plus 3 times 5. So s is 5, so like 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 40 equals 55. On to the next. Okay, if 4x is free, what is the value of 24x? We don't even need to solve for x. We're just going to multiply the whole thing by 6, multiply that by 6, and we see that it's 18. Okay, next one. The scatter plot shows the relationship between two variables x and y. A line of best fit is also shown. Which of the following equations? Okay, so basically we're asked for a line of best fit. So we see that y goes up as x goes up, so we can crossy apple saucy those ones out. So it clearly can't be like the bottom two ones. And then the important question that we got to ask ourselves is, well, if it can't be the bottom two ones, which of these is it going to be? And we see that it starts like positive, so it's not going to be B either. It's going to be A because it starts positive and it gets more positive. Okay, on to the next question. Out of 300,000 paper clips are size large, it asks us for the percentage. How are we going to compute this? So, first we're going to get the decimal. We're going to open our friendly decimals tool. We're going to say 244,000 over 300,000. We're going to get 0.78. That's the decimal. We go from decimal to percent. We multiply by 100. We get 78%. On to the next. Okay. So the table shows free values for x and the corresponding values for y. There's a linear relationship. Yada yada yada. Okay, so we want to find ourselves if it's linear. First, we want to know what's the y-intercept, and it gives us it. X is 0, y is 18. So we know that we can cross out everything that doesn't have a plus 18. Then we want to ask, well, what's the relationship between x and y? And it looks like every time x gets bigger, y gets smaller by 5. So y is negative 5x. And sure enough, if we plug in, just to show you guys that it works, if we plug in x equals 2 to this, we get y equals negative 5 times 2, which is negative 10, plus 18, which is 8, which sure enough is y sub 2. So we can clearly see that number 6 is D. Okay, on to the next. So we have this function value, and I'm going to show you guys a cheat code. So we could compute it. It's actually quite easy because we just square it. 2 squared is 4, plus another 2, that is 6, plus 71 is 77. Or we could be smart, and we could just say f of x equals x squared. Basically, I call this the decimal abuse trick. F of x equals x squared plus x plus 71. And then we're going to scroll out and we're going to say f of 2. And then, sure enough, we are going to find f of 2, and we are going to see that it's equal to 77. Easy game. Now, we're asked for equivalent expressions, we got to remember our exponent rules. You guys remember your exponent rules? When you multiply your exponents, you add like the stuff inside. So yeah, when you multiply exponents, you add. When you divide exponents, you subtract, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to add m to the 4 plus times m equals m to the 5. Because we have 4 m's, we have 1 m, we multiply them all together, we have m to the 5. When we multiply, we add. So m to the 5, q to the 9, negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So, which one? M to the 5, q to the 9? Sure enough, z to the 2. Next question. So as you can see, it's actually, we shouldn't be making any mistakes yet. And just to be safe, I'm going to double check my answers at the end so you guys know I'm not going to trip. Okay, triangle ABC is similar to triangle XYZ, where AB and C correspond to X, Y, and Z. In triangle ABC, the length of AB is 170 and the length of BC is 850. In triangle XYZ, so we know we're gonna have some correspondence. So, and we're being asked for the length of X to Y. So basically, because ABC corresponds to XYZ, we know that the length of BC proportionality relative to the length of AB is the same as the last two letters, which are YZ's proportionality to XY, because XY the XY is like corresponding to AB because it's both the first two letters, and BC is corresponding to YZ because they're the second two letters. So what that means is that like BC relative to AB is going to be the same thing as YZ relative to XY. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to compute the value of BC over AB. So we have 850 over 170, and that's equal to 5, right? So that's like the thing we got to multiply by. And then we're going to take our 60 and we have to do some manipulation to it. Because the like proportionality is 850 over 170. And then that means we're starting with YZ, and YZ is like BC, and it's 5 times bigger, so we have to divide by the 5. So 60 divided by 5 is 12. There we go, we're gonna move on. Okay. Now we have some computations to do. So we see x over y equals 4 and 24 x over ny equals 4. So it's asking us for the value of n. Now, if xy equals 4, what we can do is we can like cancel that out. So then we're going to see that 24 over n times 4 equals 4. So divide both sides by 4, 24 over n. 24 over n is going to be equal to 1. So that means that n is going to be equal to 24. And sure enough, if we just like do our arithmetic here, what we're gonna see is that 24x over 24y, the 24s cancel out, we get x over y, sure enough, it's still equal to 4. So n is 24. Next. So the function W models the volume of liquid in millimeters in a container. According what is the predicted volume in millimeters draining from the container each second? So it's asking us for draining. Draining means rate of change. And for every second we're losing 4 milliliters of liquid or whatever. So the predicted volume draining each second is whatever goes next to the t, because t is per second. So it's going to be -4. But it becomes positive because it asks for draining, so we flip the signs. Okay. So that is 4. Next. The graph of y equals f of x is shown, where the function f is defined by f of x equals ax squared. So it asks us, basically, we're being shown a cubic function. And we're being asked, how many values does f of x equal 0? Now, all we have to do is look at the graph, guys. 1, 2, 3. It's a cubic, guys, and it has like all its roots. It doesn't repeat roots. So it's obviously free. It's a cubic. Next. How are we doing on time? Okay, we have plenty of time. I am being perfectly efficient with my explanations. Okay. A conservation scientist implemented a program to reduce the population of a certain species in an area. The given function estimates this species population X years after 2008, where X was the best interpretation of 3000. So, So in order to estimate the species, what we're going to say is, how do we know what the free thousand is? The 0.75 has the x, and that means that that changes over time. The free thousand does not. And furthermore, it's asking us, like, how many years is it happening after 2008? So what happens in the year 2008? In the year 2008, x is going to be equal to 0. So 0.75 to the 0 is 1, and so f of x is 3000. So that means that it's precisely in the year 2008 we are going to have it. So precisely in that year, it's going to be a population of 3000. So let's take a look at our answer choices. The estimated initial population for the species in area, 8 years, can't be 8 years because that would be this to the 8th. Estimated percent decrease, nope. Estimated percent decrease, wait, hold up, are these the same? Oh no, they're slightly different. Okay. Estimated initial population. Here we go. Next. For what value of x does the value of y reach a minimum? Now, there are two ways to do this, guys, and we have time, so I'm going to explain both. Basically, one way to do this is recognize that it's a quadratic, and in order to minimize y, we're going to take the vertex. So that's negative b over 2a. B is negative 14, so negative b is negative 14, which is positive 14 over 2a, and 2a is 2, so 14 over 2 is 7. So we know the answer is 7, but the much faster way for you guys, in case you don't feel like doing vertexes, is you can just plug it in and see where it's small. Where is it small? Dot to dot. Sure enough, it is 7. Next. Square A has side lengths that are 166 times the side lengths of square B. Is k times the area. So what happens when we multiply the side lengths by x? Remember that because it's a square, we make one side bigger, we make the other side bigger, and like whatever proportionality thingy you do it twice. So you square it. So we're asked for the value of k. Square A, 166 times square B. Area is k times. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 166 squared, whatever that comes out to. 27. 556. Are we typing that incorrectly? Yes, we are. 27556. Sure enough, next question. Now, we're being asked for the solution to the system of equations. We want the value of b. Now, again, two ways to do this. We have time for both. Here's how we're going to do it. So, 2a plus 8b is 198. 2a plus 4b is 98. What can we infer from this? What we can infer from this, we subtract this equation from that equation, and we see that 4b equals 100. 4b equals 100, so b is 25. Easy stuff. Or, if we're too lazy to do that, we can say a is x, b is y, plug it into decimals. 2x plus 8y is 198. 2x plus 4y is 98. Where do they intersect? Where are our lines intersecting? We want to find the y value of where they intersect. Sure enough, the y value is also 25. Just when you see a and b, substitute a is x, substitute b is y, plug it into decimals, see where they intersect, find what you need, and you're good. Or you can do it the traditional non-decimals way. So it's obviously 25. On to the next. The function f is defined by f of x is negative 8 times 2x to the 22. So we're asked for the y-intercept of the graph. The y-intercept is when x is going to be 0. So we plug in 0. Negative 8 times anything to the 0 is 1. So negative 8 plus 22, it's going to be 14. So 0, comma 14. Just to make sure. Sure enough, we plug in 0, negative 8 times 1, negative 8, 22. Yep, it's 14. Okay, two variables x and y are related such that for each increase in 1, the value of y increases by a factor of 4. Yada, 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 yada. Okay, so it's clearly exponential because x getting a little bigger means y gets like exponentially bigger. So it handy-dandily gives us our stuff. So we know that the 4 to the power of x is going to be the thing that's like growing because that's the rate at which it's growing. So we can quickly cross these out, see it's d. And if you want to be more rigorous, we know it's growing by a factor of 4, so we have 4 to the x, we want the initial value, x is 0, so 4 to the 0 is whatever, we want it to be 200, so this part has to be 200. That's how we know it's d. What's the value of sine of 42 pi? So, I mean, this one you can just plug it into Desmos. You have to remember your conversions or whatever. Or alternatively, you could just remember that. So guys, sine is periodic every 2 pi, and sine of 0 is 0. So that means that because it's periodic every 2 pi, sine of 42 pi is sine of sine of 0 pi, and that means it's just going to be equal to 0. Or the alternative way of doing this is you plug this in, but you have to remember your values. So sine of 42 pi, remember that Desmos, as far as I know, Desmos automatically works. Okay, never mind. Desmos does not automatically. Oh, wait a second. Does Desmos automatically work in terms of? Okay, sorry guys. There was a much faster way. You don't even have to remember what I was talking about periodicity because apparently Desmos is automatically set to radians. I thought it was in degrees or something. Sorry guys, that was my bad. So obviously we see that sine of 42 pi is 0. Much more efficient solution. Okay, now, we have a system of equations. H is a constant. We got to find the value of h. This is somewhat difficult. So, 4x minus 9y equals 9y plus 5. Hy equals 2 plus 4x. So, basically, the TLDR of this equation, the way it works is that, like, the equation's got to be, like, they have to have the same slope, but, like, a different intercept. And if they have the same slope but a different intercept, then that is how we're gonna know that they are like have no solution. So let's do some brief algebraic manipulations. I'm gonna show you in Desmos. 4x minus 9y equals 9y plus 5. 4x minus 9y equals 9y plus 5. We're gonna move the y to the other side. 4x equals 18y plus 5. And then we're gonna say hy equals 2 plus 4x. So hy minus 2 equals 4x. And so that means that we can clearly see that they'd like what that 18y plus 5 equals hy minus 2. So again, we need the same slope but a different intercept, therefore h is going to have to be equal to 18. So let me just demonstrate to you that. Scroll out, scroll out. These lines look pretty parallel to me. Sorry. Yeah, they're parallel. I, I have to go real close. But yeah, they're parallel lines. They're not touching. Next. One solution to the given equation can be written as 1 plus the square root of k, where k is a constant. What is the value of k? Basically, guys, all we have to do is we're going to have to apply our handy-dandy little fancy quadratic formula. So, I'm going to do some quick workings out. So we have negative b. 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. B squared is 4. 4 times a times c. 4 times 1 times negative 9 is negative 36, but it's like positive because it's negative 4ac. So positive 36, but then you start at 4. 4 plus 36 is 40. The square root of 40 is like 2 rad 10 or something like that. So then we have 2 plus or minus 2 rad 10 all over 2. Then we're going to divide that out. 1 plus or minus rad 10 over 1. So then we know that it's going to be rad 10, which sure enough is an answer choice. Let's just verify. X squared minus 2x minus 9 is 0. What is the value of k? And then it's gonna sure enough, it's gonna give us our answers. And then it's 1 plus rad k. So 1 plus. So it's supposed to be around 4.16. It's around 4.16. Good job. On to the next question. In the given equation, c is a positive constant. Which of the following is one of the solutions to the given equation? So, how do we do this? In the given equation, c is a positive constant. Which of the following is one of the solutions to the given equation? Let me think about it for a second. Hmm. Let me let's do some brief rumination about this. Okay. Let me solve it on paper first. Okay. Okay, so after some brief thought, I've come to the conclusion that it's D. Let me try to explain my thought process. This one was not such an automatic question. So we're given that x squared over like the square root of x squared minus c squared equals c squared over the same plus 39. We're going to multiply everything by the denominator. We're going to get that x squared equals c squared plus 39 times the square root of x squared minus c squared. Then we're going to move the c squared to the other side, and we are going to get that x squared minus c squared equals 39 times the square root stuff. Then we're going to square both sides. X squared minus c squared, all of that squared, equals 39 squared times x squared minus c squared. We have two x squareds minus c squared on one side. We have one on the other. We're going to crissy-crossy it out. Now we get that x squared minus c squared equals 39 squared. Move the c to the other side. X squared equals 39 squared plus c squared. We take the square root of that. X equals plus or minus the square root of c squared plus 39 squared. We don't have the positive one as an option, so it's got to be the negative one. That's how we know it's D. Anyway, guys, first module was pretty light. Second module, honestly, explanations are going to be a bit quicker because we might run out of time if I dilly-dally on the second module. So let's just quickly check our answers, make sure we're not like chirping today. Okay, 29 out of every 100 has a defect. 29 out of 100. Good. 29's prime, can't simplify it. Excellent job. Miles per hour? Okay, well, we know it starts at 40 and it only goes up. So we know it can't be that. Of a certain car t seconds after it begins to accelerate, 5 seconds. 40 plus 3 times the number of seconds. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 40 is 55. Good. Multiplied by 6, it's 18. Good. Line of best fit. Starts positive. 1, 2. Stays positive. 1, 2. Only one of both. It's this one. Gotta be A. Let's just make sure. Negative, negative, starts negative. Okay, yep, it's gotta be A. Just doing some manual choppying of the thousands in my head. Get that at 78%. Starts at 18. Goes down by 5. Good. 77. Good. When you multiply, you add. 4 plus 1 is 5. This is the only one with a 5. Just to double check, 3 minus 1, that's 2. 4 plus 5, that's 9. This is obviously our answer. B. Do some triangle work. BC is like 5 times AB. That means that yz is going to be 5 times xy. So we're going to divide it by 5. Sure enough, it's 12. Good job. We're being asked for the same stuff. We multiply the top by 24. We got to multiply the bottom by 24. So we know it's 24. What's the predicted volume draining each second? So we're looking for what happens every time. We see a 4 next to the time. It's happening every second. It's the milliliters per second. It's got to be 4. It asks us how many times f of x is 0, so we look for the zeros. 1, 0, 2 zeros, 3 zeros. It's free. What is the best interpretation of 3,000? So it's the initial population, not the percent decrease, because it's this part. It's the 3,000 part, not the stuff to the x part. And then, well, what do we know? It's in 2008 rather than 8 years after, because 8 years after x would be 8, so it would be a lot smaller. So it's got to be D. Relates the variables. Just a simple Desmos plugin, Desmos chug is going to give us the answer. Otherwise, we just do the negative b over 2a stuff. So we get 14 over 2 is 7. Now, square A is 166 times bigger. We're asked for the ratio of like the square area given the ratio of the side length. It's a relatively well-known result. 27,556, good enough. We're asked for the solution to the system of equations. We can just eyeball it. We see that 4b obviously equals 100. Therefore, b obviously equals 25. We don't even care what a is, to be honest. Although, yeah, it's just like -1 or whatever. But who really cares? Yep. 4 more, 100. Divided by 4, 25. Good enough for me. We're asked for the y-intercept, so it's got to start with 0. Good job that they're not like doing anything egregiously dumb. Just if you really want to be like cheap about it, just do this. I mean, like, come on, guys, you can do this on your own, right? Now, f of x, like, surely you guys don't need Desmos for this. Please tell me. Okay, 14, good enough. What equation represents this relationship? It increases by 4. It's not a polynomial. It doesn't increase by 200. It's not a polynomial. It's D. Good enough. What's the value of sine of 42x? Turns out you can just plug and chug. 42 pi. Sorry. My mistake. H is a constant. You do some manipulations. 4x is 18y plus c. Therefore, 4x gotta be like 18y minus c, so h is 18. Just quadratic go burr and quadratic go zer, to be honest, for this one. B squared. So negative b, which is 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 4, minus 4 times 1 times -9. -4 times -1 is -4. -4 times -9 is 36. 4 plus 36 is 40. Then we have 2 plus or minus the square root of 40 over 2, which is equal to 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 rad 10 over 2, which is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of rad 10. So sure enough, k is 10. And finally, we do some algebraic manipulations. We move the stuff on the bottom to the other side. We move the c to one side. We square both sides. We divide it out. We get that x squared minus c squared equals 39 squared. It therefore follows that x squared equals 39 equals c squared plus 39 squared. We take the square root. We take the negative branch. We get d. Okay, guys. So like I said, I'm pretty sure everything here is right. So the next module, we're gonna have to be like a lot faster. So maybe a little less time for explanations. Hope you understand. Go. Okay, an airplane descends at an altitude of 9,500 feet to 500 feet at a rate of 4 per minute. It's a constant rate. So that means it's got to be linear. We know it's not exponential. We know that it descends, which means it's got to be a decreasing linear. On to the next. So we know that we have our two parallel lines. We're given line K. We want to find line J. So we just need to find the slope, and it's the same. So y is 17x over 7 plus 4. So it's going to stay the same because it's rise over run. 17 over 7. Just got to make sure. Like as x gets bigger by 7, y is getting bigger by 17. So it is, yeah, as x gets bigger by 7, y gets like bigger by 17. So sure enough, it's 17 over 7 for rise over run. Caleb used juice to make popsicles. Here's the function of the had after making x popsicles. What is the y-intercept? So the y-intercept, because x is the number of popsicles, the y-intercept when x is 0 is gonna say how many when he like didn't make any popsicles. So he had we're as for the stuff when he began to make popsicles. So we're gonna see that the y-intercept is obviously 30. And so when he began to make popsicles, our friend Caleb had 30 fluid ounces of juice when he began to make popsicles. It's not this one because that is the amount he needs per popsicle. It's not this one because 30 is the amount when he began to make. Just be careful, 30 is the amount he begins with, 5 is the amount he spends per popsicle. So he had 30 ounces. So the y-intercept is what happens with 0 popsicles, so that's how we know it's the began. And then because he began to make, he started with 30 ounces of juice. The physics class is explaining a toy rocket. It has this equation for the estimated height in feet of the toy rocket. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the vertex of the graph of the equation in the xy plane? So we obviously know, just from experience, we should know that it's going down. It starts high, it reaches its vertex in the middle, it's going down. So the toy rocket reaches its estimated maximum height of however many feet, however many seconds into the air. So we can be intelligent, and we're gonna just abuse Desmos. Doot to do. What do we get? Just some brief mechanical calculations tells us that after 5.6 seconds, which is seconds is x, it's reaching an height of 502 feet. X is 5.6, so we know it's this or it's this. And then y is 502. It's 502 feet after 5.6 seconds, not the other way around. Now, okay, we're being given a function, f of x equals 4x plus k times is like x minus 1, where k is a constant, f of 5 is 32. Let's do some algebraic manipulations. So, 32 equals 4 times 5. 32 equals 4 times 5 plus k times 5 minus 1. So 32 equals 20 plus 4k. 12 equals 4k. 3 equals k. So we solve for what k is. Now we plug in 10. So 4 times 10 plus 3 times 9. We get 40. We get 27 is 67. And just to verify this works, f of x equals 4x plus 3 times x minus 1. And just to show that it works for the original, f of 5 is 32. F of 10 is 67. On to the next. Triangles ABC and DEF are congruent. A corresponds to D, B and E are right angles. The measure of angle A is 18. So if B and E are right angles, we're being asked for the angle measure of F. So in order to find the angle measure of F, we need the other two angles in the triangle. We know that E is a right angle, so that's 90. We know that A corresponds to D. That means that because A corresponds to D, the measure of angle D is 18, and E is a right angle. So that means that there's 180 minus 90 because we lose 90 from the right angle. So we have 90 left over for the other two angles in a right triangle. And we know that the angle which is D is 18, so that means that the other angle is 90 minus 18, which is obviously 72, but just to show you, 72. Which point is a solution to the given system of inequalities in the xy plane? So what we're going to do is we're just going to check each point, see which one works, because it's multiple choice. So if y is 0, then negative 14 plus 7, nope, that doesn't work because like negative 14 plus 7 is negative 7, and that is not in fact bigger. Cross it out. What about when x is 0 and y is negative 14? X is 0, y is negative 14. Obviously, it works for this equation. What about this equation, though? Negative 14 is going to be greater than or equal to negative 1. Nope, that doesn't check out. Now we have 0 to 14. X is 0, y is 14. Doesn't check out for this equation. So it's got to be 14 comma, it's got to be 14 comma 0. 0 is less than or equal to 21. 0 is greater than or equal to negative 28 minus 1. So it's got to be D. Data plots represent the distributions. It asks us for our stuff. Median and SD. Shoot, see. Hug. Can we? The standard deviation of dataset A is equal to the standard deviation. Well, let's make what looks different about it. Is the median going to be the same? Let's check. Just make sure our dots are lining up. Well, oh, wait. We have to look for a similarity in the data sets. That's a trick to these problems because they're not going to make you compute it by hand. I remember. So, we see that the range of the data sets is going to be the same. Now, what's the difference? We have 4 here, we have 4 here, we have 4 here, we have 4 there, 2 and 2. We just took some stuff from the middle and we moved it to the extremes. Now, because all the stuff on both sides is going to balance out, 13 is obviously the median in both data sets. However, when we take stuff from the middle and we move it to the extremes, we're going to be, because like everything just cancels out, the mean is going to be 13. So when we take stuff, we're increasing the standard distribution. So the standard deviation. So the standard deviation is going to be different, but the median is going to be the same. So it's going to be 1. A scientist originally measures some bacteria in his lab, yada yada yada. 12,000 bacteria in a growth medium. 4 hours later, he measures 24 hours, assuming exponential growth. Population is c to the power of 2 RT. He wants the value of c, so c is the amount he originally starts with. It's 12,000. He wants our rate times our time. Now, just remember that we went through one cycle in 4 hours. So that means that the constant of rate is going to be like 1/4. And the reason that the constant rate is going to be 1/4 is because 1/4 of a rate constant times 4 hours of time, 4 times a quarter equals 1. So we're going to get one cycle. And then 2 to the power of that one cycle is going to double it. So like, yeah, it took us 4 hours. So that means as the amount of time it takes goes up, our rate constant is going down in order to stay the same. So it's going to be 1/4 because yeah, 4 times a quarter, it's 1. Sure enough. Now we have a cube first, and then we're asked for the surface area. So fairly standard thing. We're just going to find the side length. Sure enough, side length is 78. Now we're going to take the 78. We're going to find one of the sides. 78 squared gives us one of the sides. Multiply by the number of sides, which is 6. We're going to find that it is 36,504 for the surface area. Yep, sure enough, 474,552. We're going to raise it. We're going to raise it to the power of 1/3. We're going to get 78. 78 squared times 6, 36,504. Now, we're being asked For the solution to the system of equations is x comma y. What is the value of x like plus 7y? Now, let's just do some very, very simple arithmetic, guys. We see that the y is not changing. We see that the x is changing. We see that the constant is not changing. What does that tell you? That the x is equal to 0. Good job. Now, because we see that the x is not 0, we see that 4 times 7, the x is 0, 4 times 7y equals 12. That we divide both sides by 4, we get that 7y equals free. So 7y equals free, and 80 and x equals 0, so the x like doesn't matter. So that means 7y equals free, so 8 times 0, and then plus free, it's going to be free. Ugh. A certain town has an area of 4.46 square miles. What's the area in square yards? Do not fall for the trap, guys. When you're converting stuff in terms of squares, you need to do the like conversion factor but squared, if that makes any sense. So a square mile is 1760 yards by 1760 yards. So what we're going to do is ask for the square yards, 1760 squared. So we square the conversion factor, multiply by the original. We're getting big number, 13,505,536. On to the next. Do not fall for the trap, guys. You have to multiply the conversion factor twice when you're doing square. If it's cubed, you do it 3 times. Triangles PQR and LMN are graphed in the XY plane. Triangle PQR has these vertices. Triangle LMN has these vertices where x is a positive constant. What is the measure of angle N? Okay, time for some algebraic manipulations. Triangle PQR has some vertices. So we're going to graph PQ and R. We're being told that the measure of angle Q is going to be t degrees. Triangle LMN has vertices L, M, and N at 4, 5, 7 plus K. So it's going to be like whatever. I'm assuming it's going to be bigger. M, and it's going to be like N. Let's do some calculations. So basically, we know that we're going up by 2. We know that we're going over by 2. Because we know that we're going up by 2, we're going over by 2. We have a right triangle, like the two legs are isosceles, so we split the stuff. That means that the measure of angle Q is going to be 45 degrees. And then when we go up by the same amount, when we go up by the same amount that we go over, we're always going to be a 45-degree angle. Okay, whatever. It's going to be proportional. We know it's 90 minus t because it's the other angle in the triangle, and it's similar triangle. It's a similar triangle. So we know that the measure of angle QT of Q is 45, but whatever. So it's just 90 minus that because it's the other angle in a right triangle, and we get the measure of angle N, 90 minus t. Sure enough. A small business owner budgets $2,200 to purchase candles, must purchase a minimum of 200 candles. What is the maximum number of large candles to stay within the budget and maintain the discounted pricing? So, there's a fairly simple way of doing these problems. So, first, we're going to assume that we purchase only small candles, right? 200 times 4.90, right? We have $980. That's how much we have to spend if we only purchase small candles. Now, we wanna maximize the number of large candles, so we're not gonna purchase any extra candles. So we're gonna see how much does it cost to convert a small candle to a large candle. So 11.60 minus 4.90, that is 6.7. So we're gonna take our original budget, which is $2,200, subtract the bare minimum that we need to spend, 980. We have 1220, we're gonna divide it by 6.7, whatever we get. We're getting 182 and some change, which means we can afford 182 big candles. So just to show you guys that the math works out, 182 big candles times 11.6 per candle, plus that's going to leave us 18 small candles times $4.9 per candle. Just going to come just short. We can't afford any more big candles because they're too expensive, and we would have to get rid of more small candles, and we wouldn't have enough candles for the discount. And it's going to come very close. 2199.4. Good. 182 big candles. A square is inscribed in a circle. The radius of the circle is 20 rad 2 inches. So this is fairly simple. If we have a square inscribed in a circle, and that means that the radius of the circle is going to be like half of the diagonal of the square. So it's 20 rad 2 over 2, which is going to be, it's going to be 20 rad 2 over 2. And that means that the entire diagonal of the circle is going to be, the diameter of the circle is going to be the diagonal of the square. So it's going to be 20 rad 2. And then 20 rad 2, because it's like a 45, 45, 45, the side length is going to be 20. Anyway, sure enough, 20. On to the next. That intersects the x-axis at exactly 1 point. Which of the following equations represents a circle in the xy plane? So basically, this is centered at 8, 8, radius of 4. It's not going to touch the x-axis. This is centered at 8, 4, radius of 4. Means it's going to touch the x-axis exactly once. Yep. This is centered at 4, 9. It's too large. Same deal. It needs to start at 4 because all of the radii are 4. So that means that the y has to be centered at 4 in order to touch the x-axis. Just so you can tell, the way you know it's centered at 4 is because you see the -4, you do the invert, you do the opposite, so it's +4. So we know that's how we know the y is centered at 4. Just to show you this works. Go to the x. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful job. It touches it exactly once, just like I said. The system has no solution. What could be the thing? Okay, remember, system's got to have no solution. That means that whatever the answer is has to be manipulable into a similar form, but with a different intercept. Let's take a look at the first answer. -6x plus y equals 18. Let's do some manipulations. That means that y equals 18 plus 6x, which is no bueno because it's the same. Y is 18 plus 6x. They touch each other. They're like the exact same line. Now we have y equals 22 plus 6x. This is the answer we're looking for, guys. C and D don't cut it out because it's a higher slope, so it's going to touch sooner or later. But this one does cut it out because it's equal to y equals 22 plus 6x. So it grows at the same rate, but it's always higher. So that's how we know there's no solution, because they're parallel. On to number 18. Our time management has been okay so far. Which expression is, I swear to God, y? Y plus 8 over x minus 8. It's a lot of decomposition, but here we go. Sorry, recomposition. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fraction bust this out. We're gonna get some interesting results. Okay, y plus 12 over x minus 8 plus like y times x minus 8 over x times y times x minus 8, because x squared minus 8x factors out into x times x minus 8, and then there's also a y. So we have x minus 8 in both denominators. We're going to multiply to the other stuff. X times y times like y plus 12, and then we have plus y times like x minus 8. Okay, it's all going to combine somehow. So we have a y, what is it? Plus 12xy. Okay, ready? So we have xy squared plus 12xy plus xy minus 8y. So it's gonna involve a 13. X squared y plus 13xy minus 8y, and it's all gonna be over like the big denominator. Okay. Yep. Crissy crossy apple saucy. We're only multiplying by part of it. We're not multiplying by all of it. That's how we know it's C. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the shitty explanations. I'll explain more later. The given equation relates to variables p, q, r, and s. Which of the following is equivalent to q? Ugh. Man, I swear there's something up with these. How are the practice tests getting harder these days? Well, whatever. It's 20 over p equals 20 over q minus 20 over r minus 20 over s. So we're just going to do some very standard manipulations to isolate q. 20 over p plus 20 over r plus 20 over s equals 20 over q. We're going to do some flippy floppying. We're going to take like 1 over all of that, and it's going to be equal to that. So that means q over 20 equals 1 over 20 over q plus 20 over r plus 20 over s. We're going to multiply all that out. It's going to be 20 over that stuff. Q equals 1 over 1 over q plus 1 over 1 over r, 1 over 1 over s. Okay, it's going to be equivalent to q. You want to do you want to combine like terms, whatever. If you want to combine like terms, we can combine some like terms. Okay, we're gonna multiply everything by q, r, and s. We're gonna get q, r, and s on top. QRS over RS plus QS plus QR. Sorry, whatever. PR and S. Sorry, I misspeak. PR, PS, PS. Okay. Yep, you want us to combine like terms, we'll combine like terms, whatever. In the equation, x is an integer constant. If the equation has no real solution, what is the least possible value of x? So it says k is an integer constant. We got to solve for k. If it has no solution, okay, what's the value for x? Least possible value of k. So what we're going to do is this is a quadratic. We need to set the discriminant equal to 0, and then we're going to solve. So what we're going to do is we're going to say kx squared minus 56x plus 16 equals 0. Then we're going to say b squared minus 4ac. 56 squared minus 4 times 16 times k. So what's the least possible value that such as no real solution? So this stuff got to be negative. But how negative is the question? 56 squared minus 4 times 16 times k. So let's come up with a good value for k. I don't feel like solving this analytically. Just plug and chug until you get something that works. Oh, wow, we came really close. 49. No, 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 no. It can't be 49 because 49 makes a discriminant 0. It's 50. So again, just to reiterate, kx squared minus 56x plus 16. 56 squared minus 4 times a times c. So like a is k, c is 16. There we go. There we have it, guys. It's just barely, it's k is just barely going to be equal to 50, and we can't make it 49 because that would give it a real solution. What's the least possible value? So it's got to be 50. On to the next. For each real number r, which of the following points lies on the graph of each equation in the xy plane for the given system for each real number r? Which of the following points? Okay. So basically, when we multiply the top by 5, we get the bottom. So we know that this is just a line. We have to make sure that whatever it is satisfies our criteria. So for each real number r lies on the graph, we just have to make sure they're the same equation. We just have to make sure it satisfies the top one of them. So let's check a. 2r over 5 plus 14. Okay, so it can't be a because the x in the r part is gonna have to cancel out. What else could it be? Okay, so the 2 over 3 stuff looks promising. Let's see what part of it is gonna work. So the r's are gonna have to cancel out, and negative 3 just isn't gonna cut it. So it's gonna be one of B or C. Let's just check. 2, 2r plus 3r plus 21. Nope, that's not gonna cut it. Negative 3r, negative 3r plus 7 plus 3r equals 7. So just some standard just some very standard algebraic manipulation. 7 is going to be equal to 7. So it's gonna be our friendly one, Mr. B. 2, 3, 2. Yep, verified. A window specialist. Okay, we've got into the easy stuff. A window specialist charges $220 for the first 2 hours of repair, plus an hourly fee for each additional hour. The total cost for 5 hours is 400. So we want to quickly extrapolate. So we're paying 400 minus 220, and we're working for 5 minus 2 hours. We're working for free. 180 over free. We're earning $60 an hour. So total cost in repairs for hours of repair. So let's say we're getting paid $60 an hour, but we want to find a premium for the first just to show up. So let's say we're working for 2 hours and we make $220. We made $120 from our hourly wage. We made $100 from showing up. So we make $60 plus 100 an hour. Just to show you that this works. Yeah, just 5 hours. Like nothing else is going to plug and chug out. This is not going to plug and chug out. That ain't going to plug and chug out. That assumes that we're getting paid linearly. So it's got to be A. Anyway, on to the back page. So far, I'm feeling pretty good. Feel like this demonstration is going to get us an 800 on math, but always good to double check. We're going down constant. It's decreasing linear. We're being asked for a parallel slope. Our slope is 17 over 7. So x gets bigger by 7, y gets bigger by 17. Rise over run, 17 over 7. Good. It asks for the y-intercept. It's 30. That means it's It's one we began to make, and it's because we have 30, so it's C. Good. We know we reached 502 seconds. We're asking for when does that go to 0 because that's negative. It's 5.6. 502, 5.6 seconds. F of x equals yada yada yada. I think we checked this earlier. But anyway, it's just like, just do some brief algebraic manipulations. So yeah, we have 20. We have 20 plus like k times 4. So that means 12 equals k times 4, so k is free. Now suppose k is free. We have 40. We have free times 9. 40 plus 27 is going to be equal to 67. Angle stuff. B and E are both right angles. We're asked for F. We need to find D. D is A is 18, D is 18, F is 90 minus 18, F is 72. Good. I think this one we just brute forced it. X is 14, Y is 0. This is 21. 21 is greater than or equal to 0. This is 0. This is negative 28 minus 1, negative 29. Yep, good. So these are exactly the same data set, except data set B has more stuff at the edge and less stuff exactly on the median. The median is still going to stay the same because the extremes are going to cancel out. So the median is going to stay the same, but the standard deviation is going to be wildly different. Therefore, it's A. We're being asked for the rate constant. It took us 4 hours to do one cycle. Now we need to multiply. We need to take the reciprocal of 4 in order to do 1. So the reciprocal is a quarter. Now, same stuff, 474, 552. We're just going to raise that to the power of 1 over 3 real quick. Take the side length, square it, multiply it by 6, and we're going to get, sure enough, the surface area. Same deal here, x doesn't matter. 4 times 7y is 12. We want 7y. We isolate. It's free. Like we said, don't fall for the trick. 1760, but squared. Multiplied by the original. 13,505, 536. Good. This one looks hard, but basically it's just similar triangles because you're growing at the same rate. The original rate is like you're up 2, you're over 2. You do the same thing, it's k. Then we're asked for the measure of n. N is the like other one that isn't a right angle. We know that it's 90 minus t because they're both right triangles and we know they're similar, yada yada yada. Obviously it's 45, but who cares? Small business owner, we can quickly see 182, 11.6 plus 18 times 4.9, 2199.4. Good. Radius of the circle. So the diameter of the circle is 20 rad 2. That's the diagonal of the square. That means the side length of the square is 20 because it's a square. Gotta touch it exactly 1 point. Gotta be centered at 4 because all the radii are 4. This one's centered at 4. No solution. Y equals 22 plus 6x. Higher, but same slope. Good. Which one is equivalent? We're just going to bashy that. Multiply it by x, multiply it by y. We get xy times y plus 12, yada yada yada. Anyway, it's C. I'll show you more later. We do some standard manipulations, 20 over p, 20 plus 20 over r plus 20 over s equals 20 over q, 1 over all of that. 1 over, like, yeah. It's q over 20. It's q over 20 is 1 over all of those 20s. We're going to multiply both sides by 20. Q over R over 1 over Q, same thing for R and S. Multiply the entire both sides by like R and by S, and yep, we're gonna get all 3 over the each combination of 2. We already brute forced that. We already like checked that. The R's gotta cancel out. And we have that. Okay. Hope this helped. We're gonna turn our work in, see what we get. Congratulations, we're gonna go check our scores. Be back in a second.